Welcome guys for a full tutorial on how to make an atlas stone. Here I'm spraying silicone spray inside the mold or any releasing agent. Make sure you spray on both sides of the mold so when the concrete is dry it's easy to open it. We're using a Slater stone mold and one of my hybrid style mold. For the Slater one, you make sure you have to align the marks together when you close it, and you look inside the mold and make sure there's no gap in the seam. To close the mold, we like to use the Gorilla Tape. I like to use 4 small strips first to keep the mold in place. Then we run the long strips and pull them really tight. Always make sure you check inside the mold that there's no gap in the seam. We like to add a strip in between each 2 rivets. And at the end, we run one along the perimeter of the mold. Once we're done, we like to wrap the mold with the shrink wrap and light duty duct tape to keep it clean when we're pouring concrete in. This was in August, it was a rainy day in Dubai, it was a little bit crazy. Now for the concrete grade mix, I like to use the M35 grade concrete, which is mixed by volume. We're using 1 part OPC, ordinary Portland cement, 1 part sand, and 2 part aggregate, which is the black sand, which is the very small sand, small rocks. For every mix, we're adding around half bag of the fibers. For water, you'll add little by little until you have a nice mixture, not a soapy one, and you don't want to see any water puddle. Here we're using a scoop and a 2-liter water jug to pour the concrete inside the mold. Make sure you always keep shaking your mold when you pour the concrete so it goes evenly inside. For bigger molds, we're using a wood stick to push the concrete in and make it even inside. For a smaller mold, you can always turn the mold as it will give it this nice flat surface as a trawler. Here I'm using a massage gun to vibrate the mold and get rid of all the air bubble as much as we can. This is a very important phase. Take your time, don't rush it. You have to use a massage gun, a hammer, tap, shake the mold. Usually the air bubbles are stuck on the upper half of the mold, so take your time. And whenever you keep vibrating and shaking the mold, you'll see the concrete level will drop, so you have to keep filling the mold more and more. Now here I'm turning the mold, same as a trawler. It will give it a nice smooth surface on the inside. Now here we're using the industrial concrete vibrator. For this mold we had bolts inside, so I couldn't put it inside and shake the concrete. We use it on other molds. Now here I'm using it from outside. I'm shoving it in between the tire and the mold to shake the mold and get rid of all the air bubbles. Now here the guy as well is tapping on the mold on the back to get rid of all the air bubbles on the upper half of the mold. Now here you'll notice every time you shake the mold and you vibrate it more, the concrete will start settling in more down. So you have to fill the mold until it's full. Take your time here, repeat this process. This is the most important process in making the atlas stone. And tapping and hammering on the mold until all the air bubbles, you'll see them rising up in the middle. Now here we're making another stone with the same mold, a heavier one. So I had to add some M24 by 60 bolts in some of the mold to reach the desired weight. Some stones I had to add 1 layer in the middle to keep the stone balanced. Some I had to add 3 layers because there were so many bolts. And using this wire mesh to keep the bolt in the same level so they don't sink in the mold inside when you pour concrete in. So you'll see it inside how they sit nicely and they don't move, and we pour concrete on top of them. So far the stones are still holding up, so it was a good process. Now here we're opening the mold. Usually after 1 week we open the mold, and the concrete needs 28 days to fully cure, and you have to water it every day in those 28 days. My mold, I have to hammer the wood wedges to get it open and tap on the mold all around. For Slater mold, you'll see you have to tap on the mark with the wood piece, and you can flip the mold on a rubber pad because there's no edges. And same for the other half, you're gonna have to tap with the wood piece on the mark line to get it open. And you see with the releasing agent how easy it is to open the mold. Same for bigger weight. This was the 188 kilo stone, I think. And you just tap with the wood piece to open the other half. Now my mold is more of a hybrid style mold, so I have to hammer all the edges in to release it to release the mold from the concrete. And there you go. Now for this type of mold, you want to drop them on a pad, on a sponge pad, so you don't break the edge of the mold. Here I'm grinding the excess concrete on top of the mold and get the stone a nice sphere shape, while the guys on the background are cleaning the mold with soap and WD-40 to remove the residue of the Gorilla Tape. I'm sanding the stone as well a little bit to give it a nice smooth shape. Important as well to grind and smoothen the seam line so you don't cut your hands. Last part is to apply the patch to cover all the holes and imperfection in the stone. Very important phase is to clean the stone really well, and you have to soak it with water for 30 minutes. We're using a hydraulic cement patch. Mix little by little, this stuff dries really quick, and it's probably a good idea to wear some gloves in this part. Now you want to wear the patch really well inside the hole and all the imperfection. Push them really hard inside, and usually it's only the upper half of the stone. Now using a shop rag or a towel, get it wet, and you have to turn it around the stone, pushing the patch inside all these holes and imperfection and giving the stone a nice sphere looking shape. Now you'll repeat this process to cover all the other small holes that you will find, using again the same technique, pushing them with the towel in a spherical motion. Now once it's dry, which probably take around 30 minutes to 1 hour, we're using a drywall sandpaper to clean all the excess patch, and your stone will be ready. That's it for our stone tutorial. Hope it was helpful. Please like and share and subscribe, and thanks for watching.